hello and welcome to the HSE Half Hour. Nice to see you all. Thanks for joining us, guys. My name's Lauren. I'm the head of client engagement here at Executive Network Group, which includes our HSE Recruitment Network brand. You may have seen us before, but myself and my colleague Laura are going to be bringing you a half-hour live show every month on all things recruitment and safety. So over to you, Laura. No intro needed, but over to you.
Some intro needed, perhaps. Yeah, for those who don't know me, so yeah, I'm Laura Walker. I'm an associate director for HSE Recruitment. So what that means is I've spent the last 15 years recruiting health, safety, environmental professionals all across the world. But now, as a director, I get to do all this kind of fun stuff. So it's all engaging with the community, networking, talking at events, the live shows. And I'm coming to you from Texas this morning. Yes. Something a bit different, although you can't tell, can you? But...
No, you can't tell. We need one of those backdrops in, I think. So it's a very early start for you. You're 6 hours behind UK time, aren't you?
That's right, yeah. But it's worth it for this chat.
Definitely. And today we have a very special episode. So as usually, guys, it is a live show. So please do put your comments into the comment box. I'll get to them as soon as the conversation allows. We have two exceptional guests on today, which I'll get over to introduce in just a moment. But yeah, any questions, please do send them in. If the guys can answer them thereafter, if the conversation doesn't allow, we can do that as well. So special episode today for World Safety Day. We're honoured to be joined by, as I say, two very exceptional guests representing the 1% Safer Foundation. So welcome both Andrew and Kuba. So today we're joined by Dr. Andrew Sharman, a globally recognised expert in safety culture and leadership, and Jakup Ogorek, trustee of 1% Safer Movement and CEO of Polski system. So together they bring really unique perspectives on workplace safety and innovation. And shocking stats here, but every year approximately 2.93 million lives are lost due to workplace accidents or work-related illnesses. So that's one definitely every 10 seconds. So a shocking statistic. All shocking. So the 1% Safer initiative led by Dr. Sharman aims to change this narrative. So the movement is built on the idea that if every organisation improved safety by just 1%, it could save 28,000 lives annually. So the accompanying OPS book compiles actionable insights from 142 global experts to inspire meaningful change in workplace safety today. So that is just a bit of an interview. I've probably stumbled over my words there, but overall we've got two exceptional guests. So over to you guys. Please do give us a brief synopsis, a bit of an overview if you both would be great. Thank you.
Kuba, after you.
Thank you, Andrew. So thank you very much for this quick introduction. And look, yeah, I'm the trustee in 1% Safer organization. I joined the foundation like 2 years ago. I've been hard working with Andrew and other trustees since then, selling books and supporting the projects in very different countries all over the world. Like I'm now holding a position of CEO in Deposit Return Scheme, which is an environmental company for Poland, and then spent my 20 plus years in operations and in finance, where I actually met Andrew there, and since then we cooperate and share some thoughts in the free time. So glad to join you today and glad to be able to promote 1% Safer movement. Over to you, Andrew. Thank you.
Thanks, Kuba. And yeah, Kuba's here representing an entire board of trustees at the 1% Safer Foundation. And I'm very grateful to Kuba and all of his peers on the board for their time and their support. All of our board trustees are volunteers and give their time to making the world of work a little bit safer. So I'm Andrew Sharman. I've spent almost the last 30 years working in safety leadership and safety culture in about 130 odd countries around the world. I'm a professor of risk resilience and safety culture at IMD, one of the world's top executive business schools. They're based in Switzerland, and also a professor of safety culture and leadership at CEDEP, the European Centre for Executive Development in Fontainebleau in France. I'm the 53rd president of IOSH and the CEO of the International Institute of Leadership and Safety Culture. And back in 2020, I had the idea to create some kind of compendium of resources that might help make the world of work a little bit safer. And at that point, the book was created, and shortly after, the Board of Trustees and 1% Safer Foundation is a registered charity. So I'm the founder and chair of the board of 1% Safer Foundation now.
Fantastic. I don't know about you, Lauren. I feel a bit inadequate now after those,
Is it?
those two introductions.
To those intros, no, it is, as I say, exceptional guest. What can we say?
So yeah, thank you both for joining us. You know, I know we're both so excited to have you here today. You know, we've been big supporters of 1% Safer for a while now, and you gave us a little bit of an introduction there. But I wondered if maybe to start off with, maybe Andrew, could you start just telling us a bit more about the 1% Safer Foundation? So, you know, how was it founded? What was the inspiration? That sort of thing.
It's funny, the inspiration was aggravation. Those who know me know that I'm really not into this whole idea of zero accidents, zero injuries, zero harm. It's a binary approach. It's an all or nothing. And the reality of the world of work is that accidents will happen, not just at work, at home and at play too, of course. But I think there's been, amongst the safety profession and the world of business for a long time, there's been this fixation on getting to zero, and only zero accidents is the thing that we can aim for. And I was really getting fed up with it. And so in 2020, I thought I need to do something to try to shift the thinking around this focus on or obsession with zero accidents. And it was, of course, the time of COVID. And it was also my presidential year for IOSH. And I'm thinking, gosh, what on earth am I going to do to try to have some impact on the world of work, given the climate they're in? And so I sat one night with a glass of whiskey and thought, what can I do to create some value in the world of safety and work? And I think I realized that one of my biggest values, perhaps, is my little black book. I know a lot of people. And so I thought, hey, I wonder if I could get a whole bunch of people involved to do something together. It could be like a crowdsourced activity. And so that was the kind of basis for it. And then I thought, how do I connect this together? And I thought, hey, what if I asked all of these people that I know to come up with the best piece of safety advice that they think will be applicable to all industries, all countries, all sectors? And so it's really kind of the best golden nugget. And so I asked 143 people.
Wow.
People like Scott Geller, Gert Hofstede, Dom Cooper, Carrie Cooper, Rosa Carrillo, Sid Decker, Eric Holnagel, all of these kind of big names in safety, as well as a whole bunch of other interested people, CEOs of businesses, policymakers, academics, and many more. So I asked 143, would you write one chapter for this book that's going to be called 1% Safer? We'll make the world just a little bit safer, marginal gains theory. And incredibly, 142 out of those 140, this is a brilliant idea, we love it, yeah, we'll do it. And so that was the start of it. And the book is an interesting book. It's about 1 kilogram in weight. It's a huge kind of coffee table book. It's not your regular safety textbook. It features really intense, provocative graphics. One chapter, one page, golden nugget right there, right in front of you. And so we created the book in 3 months, from start to finish, from the idea inception to the hard copies of the book landing on the desk in just 3 months, thanks to an amazing team of volunteers, designers, printers, and others that got together with it. So that's the kind of story. And 5 years on, we're kind of doing some really cool stuff around the world with the foundation. So
yeah, that's amazing. I can't believe it's been 5 years as well. That has just flown by. And I think we all have some of our best ideas over a whiskey sometimes, so I quite like the origin story. I think that the reason the book works so well is, like you said, you weren't just approaching sort of those safety thought leaders. You've got those different people as well, the CEOs and people in different areas. So that was quite intentional.
Yeah, it was. I think safety as a profession can often get quite insular. We tend to look at ourselves and other safety professionals and think, what can I learn from that other OSH person there? What else can I learn about safety culture from that organization there? And we tend not to push thinking very often. Saying that, this is not a generalization, it's just a perspective. I know there are people that are out there looking differently. And so what I thought was, rather than just having a whole bunch of safety experts in a book, which would just be another safety book.
Yeah.
We have a lot about leadership and business, and there's some interesting chapters around things that we might not normally talk about in the world of occupational safety and health.
Fantastic.
So, I mean, the concept of 1% safety, becoming 1% safer, it's exceptional, and it's gained significant attention and support. Yeah. Could you explain, the principles behind the approach, how it can be applied effectively to drive continuous safety improvement? Because I know you referred earlier, I don't like the whole we need zero accidents and zero risk. It sounds great, but it's not realistic. So, yeah, how does becoming 1% safer work?
There are different layers in the question you ask, but to simplify it is like we all tend to focus on training the leaders and executives and then saying, yeah, mission is done, and then we move on. But what is a real improvement sits within, like, even below the mid layer of management. And from my operational experience, this is the place where the culture is created. Yeah? So that's how we did it when I met Andrew for the first time. That's exactly what we addressed in Stock Spirits when I worked at that moment. We addressed the mid layer, not the top executives, but the mid layer, who are like a real change agents afterwards. And one famous person said, we are joking all the time with it, that culture takes one person at a time. And that's a true statement. You need to approach people, and you need to create this culture of safety, not zero accidents. Yeah. If you only say we have a dashboard, we want zero accidents, that leads to nowhere. But if you create a culture of people, then they are spreading the culture all over the world, like into their families, into their societies, into the schools of their kids, and that's how all starts rolling. And that's what we called like marginal improvement theory. And that's why 1% safer is so binded to this 1% statement. Yeah, because you may aid great things, and you may collect thousands of dollars or millions of dollars, but to spend it wisely in the remote part of the world, like Andrew mentioned, Ethiopia, or we now are dealing with asbestos in Ukraine during the rebuilding of electroworks. That all requires minimum funds, but engagement and time and culture. So I think this is the core from my point of view, to be engaged, to engage other people. And it's not necessarily about huge funds all the time, although money helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this idea of culture changing one person at a time. And as Kuba said that, it made me think that culture changes not just one person at a time, but probably 1% at a time. It's incremental change that builds up, that causes a dramatic culture shift. And this is not a novel concept. I didn't create the idea of incremental progress or marginal gains theory. It was popularized by a guy called Dave Brailsford, who was the chief of the UK British Olympic cycling team. And he was looking for ways just to make those smallest differences to the team's performance, knowing that they would aggregate to becoming successful wins. But it wasn't Dave Brailsford that came up with it either. You can trace this sort of stuff right back through theoretical roots. Einstein came up with this idea of compound interest. He said the strongest way of driving change is compound interest, just adding a little bit. It's not new to any of us. As kids, we may have had a kind grandmother or grandfather or relative that started a little bank account for us. It may have only had £5 or £10 in, perhaps, but the interest kept accruing. And by the time we were 15, 16, 18, that £10 has turned into something that's a bit more valuable. And that idea of compound interest is really important.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, thank you both for explaining a bit about that. I think it's interesting. We've talked about the book and kind of where that idea came from. We've talked about the culture behind it, but 1% Safer is also a foundation, isn't it? That it's a charity, and you're doing some amazing work with it. So I don't know if you could maybe tell us a bit about the foundation, a bit about some of the projects you're getting involved in, and things you've got planned.
I'm really excited about some of the stuff we've been doing recently. I feel really fortunate to have such an amazing team who who allow the foundation to really get involved with some cool stuff. So Kuba mentioned the work that we're doing in the Ukraine over the last couple of years, training up OSH professionals to reskill them, to get them ready for building a future fit Ukraine.
Yeah.
We've done quite a lot of work there with some people that have applied for grants to the 1% Safer Foundation, and we assess their application forms and then allocate awards to them so they can do things like that. In Ethiopia, we're supporting a brick manufacturing business, a bakery, an agriculture business too. We've trained up a fantastic guy called Mulane, a local Ethiopian OSH professional. He gets visits every 6 months from some experts in HSE coming from Canada to Ethiopia to really skill him up. And what an impact this guy is having. You know, it's there's some interesting success stories on our website and also on social media on LinkedIn where people can learn more about that. Another thing I'm really proud about is we set up a partnership with the IIRSM, the International Institute of Risk and Safety Management, where we created about a year or so ago 100 1% safety, 1% safer bursaries. So 100 OSH professionals in countries like Ghana, India, Egypt, and so on, who need a bit of extra support. And we're just about to launch the second round of these bursaries for another 100 people in these nations that just need that bit more support from us here in the West and beyond. So those are some of the charitable funding activities that we're doing. But there's lots of stuff going on behind the scenes. You know, we can't do this without keen volunteers. And so I mentioned the board. We've got a board of 7 trustees. Kuba and myself are 2 of those. We're expanding our board right now. We've just been going through a recruitment process. We've just told a couple of people on Friday last week that they have a position on the board. They're very excited to join us. So that's pretty exciting. We created our first newsletter. That was also launched last week. You can find that via social media on LinkedIn. That kind of updates all of the cool stuff we're doing. And we've got lots of exciting things to share over the year. So we'll drip feed this in because we're talking again at the EHS Congress in May in Berlin. Yeah. And we'll share a bit more with people there about what we're doing. But stay tuned to LinkedIn. That's the source of all of the great news that we've got.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, it sounds so interesting. And I know Lauren's already put the link for the 1% Safer website into the chat so people can find it there. I can see, you know, over on Instagram as well, we've got loads of people joining us live from maybe some of the more developing nations. So is all the information about the bursaries and things like that, that's all on the website?
It is, yeah. Everything's there.
Perfect.
And I think to add to what Andrew just underlined is that we also work through the network of ambassadors. So we have like 4 very brilliant ambassadors, PPWD, Perrier, in Tactics, and EcoPortal. They are from all over the world, from New Zealand and Australia through UK to Canada. And they help also spread the word about 1% Safer and help us collecting the funds, because how we are founded is we are selling books. And the proceeds from the books are going to the little grounds we found all over the world, which Andrew just mentioned. So it's important to spread the word about like, you know, purchasing the books, which are available through the shop on our website.
Amazing. That was actually going to be my next question, was where are the no, it's really good. That's the important information. So all of the profits from the book, right, fund the foundation?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, every penny earned by every book goes straight into the foundation and then out again in the form of grants. As I said, all of the board members are volunteers. There's no remuneration for being on our board. So that means that we only get people coming to our board who really believe in this concept and want to make the world of work safer, and are prepared to commit their time, their energy, their intellectual capacity to help us drive awareness around the book, to get people engaged in the philosophy of making the world of work 1% safer, and also to try to encourage, as Kuba said, people to buy a copy of the book, because that's our primary revenue source for the charity.
Yeah, that completely makes sense. And it is incredibly important work that you guys are doing over at OPS. So can I ask, Kuba, you referred to this earlier around workplace safety. How does improving safety culture align with your mission at 1% safer? How does, safety culture align with minimising workplace accidents overall?
Well, I think I stated it and you got it, but for me it's a concept of this marginal steps, huh? Like when you are, it's always difficult to begin to climb the staircase if you are at the bottom, but when you are in the mid, you suddenly are in the middle of your effort, and then last 3 steps are always the easiest ones. Yeah, so we apply, I think, through all our actions the concept of marginal gains. Yeah? So whoever wants to help us and brings a little bit of a time and a little bit of an effort, we welcome. Yeah, whoever wants to buy a book, yeah, if it's just 1 book or 100 books like some people buy, like that's great. Yeah, every book counts. Yeah, and every project counts, and every single guy in Ethiopian bakery counts to improve the safety of the world.
Fantastic. No, we have got another question here as well. So thank you for sending this in. Wow, it's a LinkedIn user, unfortunately. The name hasn't come up for me. I don't know if it has for you, Laura. Apologies.
No, the name hasn't come through, but it's a great question. So
yes. So the question is, Kuba, how can we use technology, AI in particular, to increase the culture of occupational health and safety? Are there any examples that you could give, please?
Oh yeah, like a very interesting question. Thank you. And there is like worldwide debate over the subject. So I feel privileged to be able to answer. But my thing is, like, nothing will replace one-to-one meetings, people to people, face to face, even if it's all only over the Skype or Teams or whatsoever. Although AI may speed up learning curve. So like I discussed with my kids and showed them encyclopedia, and they've been like surprised. I think the same we are surprised with AI, whatever the technology is. So using AI bots may speed up learning of and learning curve of professionals, but not only the health and safety professionals, like managers, wherever they sit, in finance, in HR, like recruitment, whatever. It speeds up learning and knowledge sharing. So I would underline that nothing would replace human contact in culture marginal gains, but learning curve can be boosted with AI.
Yes.
It's interesting, my first reaction to this question was, well, we can't really use technology and AI to help us improve safety culture because it's all about people. And so Kuba's kind of touched on that, and I'll return to it in a minute. But one of the things that I wonder AI might be useful for is language translation. I don't mean this in the obvious sense. I don't mean I write it in English and AI gives it to me in French, because we know there's already tools that do that. I mean the language of business. I know that OSH professionals can often struggle when they're in the boardroom for their monthly update, or they're having to talk to some senior leaders that they've met in an elevator, or they've got to go and do a presentation. And I know from my first-hand experience 25, 30 years ago, that I was terrified going to talk to the MDs and CEOs and boards of organizations. I'm not anymore. Sometimes they might be terrified of me coming to talk to them, I think. But I suspect that AI might be helpful to create a language for OSH professionals, by asking questions like, I want to engage my leadership team on improving safety culture. What are the sorts of things that I might want to consider? What's the language of this particular industry sector? What are the words and phrases that tend to get talked about at high-level meetings? I think if we use it like that to explore, that might be quite useful. And then that kind of, I think, takes me to where I think the differentiator is, that the kind of big push or piece of advice that I think we want to take out of this is that the bit that's missing for me right now in business, and has been for a few years, is curiosity. And I think that's the differentiator between us and AI, is that humans can have this natural curiosity, and we can use it as a skill. I think it's one of the most important leadership skills. I think it was Stephen Covey, the management guru, who said, seek first to understand, and then to be understood. And so we can't understand stuff just by staring at it or listening. We need both of those things, but we've got to do more. We've got to be actively curious. We've got to dig in and ask better questions. And so I think that's something that we might all want to be thinking a bit more about. How do we be constructively curious?
Yeah.
First to understand.
Fantastic. I can see we've had another question here from Darren Rowett. And Darren, I think you've read my mind, because this was actually my last question as well. So great minds. But Darren wanted to know, if we're talking about distilling the 1% safer book message, is there one concrete action that every organization could take?
Gosh. I mean, there are hundreds of actions in this book. So, Darren, I'll answer this question in the hope that you might be intrigued and want to go and buy a copy of the 1% Safer book. We'd love your support. Look, I think the one big thing that we can do is to make this simpler, make the world of safety at work simpler, and to use that power of curiosity that I was just talking about. Now, Paul O'Neill, the former Secretary of State for the United States, before he was in that role, he was the CEO of Alcoa, the Aluminium Corporation of America. And when he took on that role as CEO, he said, I'm going to make this the safest company in America. And he knew it had to start with him, the top leader. But he also wanted it to cascade right the way down through the business. So every day he made a personal commitment to go out and ask someone, what one small thing can you do today to make this workplace safer?
Right.
And at first, people will go, "Oh, it's the CEO of the group. We need twice the production facility. We need more machines." And he said, "No, one thing, small thing that we can do right now." And he'd give people, he'd empower them with the confidence and the courage to come up with really meaningful ideas that weren't game changers. They didn't suddenly eliminate all SIFs, but they made the world of work a little bit safer. And he kept doing this day after day after day after day. And of course, all of his leadership team started copying the boss, and all of the people in all of the sites started getting ready for this question. So they were automatically thinking of things that they could suggest. And so I guess that's my suggestion, that we use a question like that to empower people, to show that we trust them, we believe that they've got some skill and some value that we can learn from, and allow the workers to help us make safety culture better.
Brilliant. Yeah, I love that answer. Thank you, Darren, as well, for the question. Great question.
Great question, Darren. Thank you.
As always, the half hour flies by, and we are nearly at the end. So if anyone hasn't had a chance to ask their questions today, I'm fairly certain, Andrew, Kuba, you don't mind if people reach out to you on LinkedIn, if they drop you messages? Yeah.
We welcome all the questions and happy to answer. Huh?
Good. I mean, there was a lot to cover today, wasn't there, in a very short space of time. So we definitely encourage everybody to go and research further. You can go over to the website. You can purchase the 1% Safer book. As we said, every penny from that is going into this fantastic foundation. So it's such a wonderful cause, and you're going to learn so much from it. Lauren's already linked this in the comments, but we'll make sure that you can access that over there. And I guess just thank you both for joining us today.
It's fun to hang out with you.
Thank you very much.
It's been an absolute pleasure. So we really, really appreciate it. And obviously, we'll see you over in Berlin. That's in May, isn't it? EHS conference.
Yeah, it's 20th, 21st, 22nd of May, I think.
I believe that's right. Yeah, looking forward to it. That's a couple of really good days of content, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't wait. It's an incredible event this year. As I keep saying every year, it just seems to get better. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you in Berlin.
Yes.
And hope to see some others there too. Thanks very much for tuning in and listening to us today.
Thanks so much, everyone. And we'll see you all next month. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.